We're bringing the topics to you. Bring the topics, bring the topics, bring the topics. Bring the topics, bring the topics, bring the topics. Topics in the tropics, topics in the tropics, topics in the topics in the tropics, topics in the tropics, topics in the
Topics in the Tropics with Ramon Gordon and Rueyella Blake.
Hi, everybody. Hi. How is
What's
everybody
up?
doing? How are you feeling? My name is Ramon Gordon.
And I'm Rueyella Blake.
And you're listening to Topics in the Tropics, the show where absolutely nothing is off limits. Now, if you haven't realized, my tone this evening is a bit, less than.
Yeah, we're in a bit of an emotional mood, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we're feeling very good that we're now able to share what we have planned for you this evening.
Yeah. Now, we're going to be sharing a lot of stories with you this evening. We're going to be very vulnerable. And I think it's something that needs to be done to establish, our truth. Because in sharing this, hopefully you'll understand us better and feel even closer to us than you already do.
Yes, we hope to achieve that. And we also hope that you can identify with at least some of what we're about to discuss. So let's get into it.
Rueyella, what are we going to be talking about?
Okay, so today we're talking about high school life.
Oh, good grief.
We're talking about teenage mental health,
Mm-hmm.
but we're focusing today on high school life. And to establish the framework for this evening,
Yeah.
Ramon, could you just share with us a quick overview of what high school was like for you?
For me,
Yeah.
let me tell you, high school was probably the hardest time in my life. I'm not even joking. I mean, I had some very good experiences. I sang with the Manchester choir when we won All Together Singing 2012
Yeah, my friend.
and 2016. So that was definitely a highlight. I also was on the debating team and I was a part of the journalism club as well. And I was president for the music club. Wow, I didn't remember all of this.
Yeah, you did great.
But allegedly.
I remember you
Yeah.
also won that agri thing.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even remember that. I came second. Screw them.
I lied, I'm fighting.
Yeah, fight me up big time. But yeah, apart from all that, I really struggled a lot in high school with identity. I struggled a lot with, knowing where I wanted to be, knowing where I was supposed to be. So I tried my best to fit in with a lot of people I had no business trying to fit in with. And in doing so, I kind of made a fool of myself and became a laughing stock. Man, it was something.
It was something.
Yeah.
And personally, let me just laud you for the growth that I have seen.
Thank you.
Let me just laud you for that.
Thank you.
High school for me was, I don't want to say the best part of my life, but it really is close to that because I had so many good experiences. I learned so many things. I watched myself literally transform from one little feisty girl into a well-rounded young woman. I formed some of the partnerships, some of the most meaningful friendships I have today were formed not necessarily at school, but during my high school life.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for that. I have to say high school was a good time for me. There were lows, there were many lows. There were things that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was a good experience for me.
Love that.
Yeah. Nora Man, you listed numerous achievements. However, you also described high school as being difficult. How were you able to achieve all these things in such an environment?
Well, I used everything. The music club, the journalism club, the debate club, I used them all as a distraction, really. Because in an environment where you experience so much toxicity, is that a word? You find ways to feel comfortable in a space that's less than inviting. So I put all my time and all my effort into the extracurricular, sometimes negating schoolwork, mind you. But I did that to feel safer. Yeah.
What exactly made you feel unsafe or made you feel uncomfortable in high school?
Well, if you've been following me on Instagram for some time, then I'm assuming you've realized I'm not your typical Jamaican male. I don't know the chopper life, yeah. I like my pastel colors. I like, the finer things. Which is not to say the typical Jamaican doesn't like the finer things, but yeah.
You pride yourself on loving those things.
Yeah. So in high school, especially Manchester High School, a place where so many persons from different walks of life come together, it wasn't easy expressing that love because it was often perceived as something else. You understand? So persons were often taken aback by that expression and chose to, single me out, which was pretty
So you
hard.
do you believe that individuals were threatened by the fact that you weren't the norm?
I don't want to say they were threatened because that would be,
It made them uncomfortable, you think?
yeah, it made them uncomfortable. It didn't threaten them because if I say something threatened them, then I assume that I was this big, powerful beast. But I think that they were taken aback, for sure.
So in essence, those around you felt uncomfortable. They experienced some level of discomfort because you were embracing the non-traditional things.
I guess.
How did they express this discomfort?
Well, I remember, and I think I've told you this, in this particular instance, I was wearing this full floral t-shirt with a crew neck. And I was walking on campus with my neon green Airwalks or whatever. I was swagged out. I was popping. And I was walking. And there was a particular group of people that I always tried to avoid, but in this particular case, I had to walk past them, and I was walking. They didn't say anything, and I was like, "Good God, thank you, Jesus!" Until I hear, "Biggs, you're colorful." I kid you not,
Biggs, you're colorful.
I stood frozen in that spot for a good 5 seconds because I didn't know if I was supposed to turn around and beat his ass
Exactly.
or just carry on. I eventually carried on because I can't fight. So there's that.
Yeah.
But it was little things like that that really threw me off. So all of the negative energy that was thrown at me, it caused me to, create a facade. I became very aggressive.
Yeah, me remember that.
Very loud, very confrontational. I mean, nobody could talk to me. If you come to me too hard, I'm going to kick you in your face. Not literally, because like I said before, I can't fight. But I wouldn't let you have it.
Really, he was that person. We were in the same
Yeah.
form class, by the way, from first form straight to fifth form.
Yeah. And I believe that by creating this facade, persons would just know that they're not supposed to mess with this boy, leave this boy alone, because if you mess with him, it's going to be unnecessary drama. And it worked for persons outside of my form class, but persons that spent most of the time with me, like Rueyella and her friends. And
yeah, we saw past that. We saw the real
vulnerability.
Ramon. We saw his vulnerability. And now is when things are going to get intense, because I've admitted it off the record, and this is the first time I'm going to admit it on the record. I have a hand in Ramon's difficult experiences in high school. I have a hand in him being uncomfortable, him struggling with identifying himself as a person. I had a hand in that. I remember distinctly bullying Ramon every single year of high school.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that. Let me just apologize. I've apologized before. However, Ramon, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From the depths of my soul, I must apologize.
And funny enough, now Rueyella and I are the best of friends, honestly.
Really?
Very funny.
Really, we sit down and with each other
Yeah.
every day,
So obviously that's accepted
Yes.
and appreciated.
Yeah, because I saw Ramon as being literally the male version of me. He was so outspoken. He was so articulate. He was so creative. And me just I say, "Cause it's a fat boy, yeah." I do all the things them when me want to do. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I used the word threatened earlier, because I'm saying Ramon is here and Ramon is doing all this. He's achieving all this. I see myself in Ramon and I'm doing none of that. Wow. And I honestly felt like, all right, a one spot for somebody like this in the world and Ramon gone with it. Let me make his life a living hell. Wow. That's how I felt. You see me? I did feel, because I saw the power that you possess.
And unfortunately, all that took a very heavy toll on me. In forms 3, 4, and 5 especially. I don't know if you remember this. You probably do. But in those forms in particular, I started carrying myself very poorly. I rarely went to the barber. I wore a brown, the ugliest brown windbreaker every day. You would never see me without it. And I just became an emotional wreck. So in trying to deal with all of that, I started doing some things that I really shouldn't have done in hindsight, but coping.
You live and you learn.
Yeah,
honestly.
I started cutting myself a lot. And I remember one time in particular, I was home, and anybody who knows me knows I like white linen. So I was in bed after a rough day of pretending to be somebody I wasn't, and I just grabbed I stopped at a Chinese store before going home and bought a pack of razor blades. And I went home and I just started slicing my hands. I was bleeding, but I didn't tell anybody. I mean, only a few persons knew that I was doing that. And I don't want them to cut this name out, but Gaia knew, and she was so supportive. I remember one of the times I showed her the scar, she lost it and asked me if I was losing a screw. Mind you, I had lost a screw. Several, probably. But, yeah, I did that. And I remember my mother coming in the room telling me that she had bought me something I had asked for a few days before. And she saw the sheets red. So she was like, Ramon, you don't know they're not supposed to be eating chicken in the bed. Why you have ketchup everywhere? And then I was playing along until she came closer and she saw that the red was coming from me.
And
no.
in that instance, what was the exchange?
She just broke down and she was asking me what happened. And the sad part is I couldn't even tell her. I didn't want to tell her because I thought I was 14 years old, 15 years old, however old I was this big, bad person capable of taking care of myself. I didn't need anybody else helping me. I mean, what I'm doing is helping. I feel better, so I didn't know what to tell her. So they brought me.
Do you think that was really it? Or were you ashamed of saying, Mom, I need to cope with whatever is going on and this is the only way?
I wasn't ashamed. I was more angry. Angry that I thought I had to do this to feel better. Angry that I thought it necessary to hurt myself in order to feel like somebody again. Wow, I've never said that out loud. So I remember after that instance, they brought me to the doctors. I saw psychiatrists. One of them had the audacity to tell my mother that I have early onset schizophrenia with psychosis or something like that. I don't remember what that bitch said, but she said something. I'm so sorry. You're only going to have to blur this out, but don't stop recording. She said something to that effect. And they offered me medication for it. My mother said, absolutely not, thank God. And then they found me a counselor here. Yeah. Well, a family friend of ours, lovely lady. And she talked me through a lot of the feelings that I was experiencing at the time. And that really helped me. That wasn't even the first time I tried to kill myself. Because I don't think I mentioned this, but on one occasion when I was slicing my wrist, I cut so deep that I think I hit something major, and I was just bleeding. And I didn't tell anybody. You know what I did? I took, what did I take? A t-shirt. It was in the night, and I wrapped it around my forearm, and the bleeding stopped. So I went to sleep. Yeah, I went to sleep, and that was that. And I got up the next day, put on the long sweater to hide everything, and went to school, and became the same old aggressive boy that wanted nobody to talk to him.
What was the turning point for you, though? Was the turning point in high school or
Oh,
after?
hell no. The turning point came when I started university. Not in my first year. My first year was still a wreck. A mess, I tell you.
I don't think you were.
I wasn't.
Honestly, I feel like first year you came and you remember you didn't start in media. You started in criminal justice. And you did so well.
Yeah.
Ramon, you were doing, what was your GPA at the end of your first semester?
3.8 something.
Ramon, I remember vividly you were doing
I was doing
so well.
I was doing well academically, but I was still struggling with a lot of the things that were unresolved from high school. It was not until I switched to what is the name? Media in my second year that I really came out of my shell. I started, taking care of myself, started wearing better clothes, putting myself together, going to the barber regularly. Thank God for the barber. Big up creative barbers at Banco Small. I love you all.
Always on point.
Yeah, thank you. So I've started to do those little things, or started to do those little things rather, to make myself happier. I mean, I'm not 100% yet. That's why whenever you see me, I try to be put together.
Always.
It's not because I think I'm better than anybody. Please. I just like to feel comfortable in my own skin. And a part of that is me, putting on things that I like.
Taking care of the physical self.
Yeah.
Have you made, apart from your lifestyle changes, you're going to the barber, apart from those changes that affect your physical appearance, what changes have you implemented or what have you done to ensure that you're mentally healthy and emotionally healthy?
Well, for one, I've learned not to let the opinions of others dictate how I feel. I've learned that not everybody will come to you from a place of sincerity, and persons often, say things just to get a reaction. So if I abstain from showing that reaction, then I'll be left alone, hopefully. And I've also
provocative.
Yeah, I've also learned to love myself, to see the inherent beauty that is me, and that took a long time, but I'm getting there slowly but surely, and I'm learning to love the little nuances that make me uniquely me. So, yeah.
So, who have your inspirations been on this journey to self-love?
My friends. Can I call names? I'm going to call names.
Call name, of course.
Dejan, Carla, Jody, Kimberly. Who else? I don't want to leave anybody out. If I leave you out, do not fire
literally
me.
sit on the right side of Ramon,
Please.
and
No,
Ramon
I wanted,
leave me out.
I wanted to leave you for the last one. Jesus, man. And Rueyella, Blake. Honestly, you guys really have done so much to help boost my self-esteem. You guys have done so much to help me reach to the point that I am at now, and for that I'm eternally grateful, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think can be done to prevent other young people from having the same experiences or similar experiences to what you had? What do you think young people can do, as well as the older generations, to prevent individuals from hating themselves and from experiencing bullying, from self-deprecating and from self-harming?
I think we can just start by being understanding, because I think a lot of the times we cause distress simply because we refuse to change the perspective. We refuse to sit and have a conversation with people. We refuse to just be respectful. And I think a lot can be achieved if we just learn to be respectful and love each other. We don't have to be in love with each other, but we can remember that we're human beings and love, understanding, and respect is due.
And what do you think is the biggest issue now as it relates to individuals in high school, teenagers?
The biggest issue? Oh, this is easy. They're not exposed. And because they're not exposed, they're used to one thing and they think this one thing is the norm. And when they see anything else that diverts from that norm, they become defensive. And if not defensive, they're intimidated. And if they're not intimidated, they just don't want to see it. So I think what can be done, especially in high schools, is...
sensitization?
Yes, absolutely. Help persons understand that there is more out there. Different persons exist.
Me believing in that. Me believing in that part there. Because our young people, our teenagers, our adolescents need to understand the world is vast.
The world is very diverse.
And diverse.
Yeah.
And so what you see in your little high school classroom is incomparable to what is out there.
It doesn't represent what you'll face when you go there. And I think that is why we have a lot of issues in the real world now. So many wars, so much conflict. Because persons thought that this is right, this is me, this is the only thing that exists. And because this is the only thing that exists, if you disagree with me, I'm going to put a bullet in your head.
Yeah, I feel like that is where a lot of the violence today is coming from.
Yeah, just because I came out relatively unscathed, it doesn't mean somebody in another part of the world will, have the same end.
Exactly. Not everyone is going to have the same luck. People literally die in less severe...
They die for being different.
Basically, they die in less severe situations than we see today, than we see around us.
Yeah, so... It's just what I said earlier. We have to learn to love. We have to learn to understand. And even if you don't agree with what I have to say about a particular issue, learn to respect my viewpoint. You don't have to necessarily change yours or accept mine. Just
listen to me.
Be willing to hear me out.
Exactly. No one understands that, let me not say no one, not enough people understand that, that individual has a different perspective than I. I can still show respect to that perspective and to that individual. A lot of persons don't understand that, listen, I'm not used to this, however, that's someone else's reality. And so let me respect that.
And I think that's... I've been a champion since starting university. I've been a champion for being kind. Yes. Every few days, you'll see me post on my Instagram, be kind, be kind, be kind. I'm not posting it to look cute. I'm posting it because I'm letting everybody know that you need to be kind, you need to love.
Believe me, everyone in my life will tell you that my philosophy is love. Just that.
Period.
Because out of love comes every other pleasurable emotion.
Absolutely.
Out of love comes everything pleasurable.
Yeah.
And if you're able to extend love to a stranger, to your friends, to your family, you're going to receive that, and you're going to receive that tenfold.
Out of love comes undulated happiness.
Honestly.
Out of love, you find so much peace, so much understanding. When you experience love, and not only love, but the willingness of others to love.
Listen. That alone will spur you into action. That alone will let you know that, wow, this person is such a good person because they're giving so much love. I want to try that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So guys, that was a bit of a story time, don't it? Story time plus commentary.
Yeah. But I feel like the conversation needs to be continued.
Absolutely.
So guys, in the comments, I want you guys to share your stories as best as possible. If you're uncomfortable, that's fine. Share your stories with us. Let us
understand
know.
that you sharing your story may help somebody that needs to hear it. Because there are a lot of persons in high school. Well, when I was in high school, I thought I was the only one going through everything I was going through. If somebody had the courage to share their experience, then maybe I would have handled it differently. So we're asking you, we're begging you, if you're willing to just share your tale. Let us know what you've experienced, what you're experiencing, and how you overcame. How you plan to overcome.
Yeah, we want to hear all of that. And we want to say thank you so much, guys, for listening today. Thank you so much, Ramon, for being so strong, being so resilient. Thank you for holding everything and delivering so beautifully. I'm sure someone was touched.
And thank you for being so honest, Rueyella, because I think it shows that there is hope for even the worst enemies after a season has passed.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Topics in the Tropics, the show where nothing is off limits.
Join us again on Thursday. We'll have a brand new topic for you guys. Until then, it's Rueyella Blake.
And I'm Ramon Gordon. Take care.
That was Topics in the Tropics with Ramon Gordon and Rueyella Blake.
Thank you.